Autinongten Anitra, Autinongten Cabin. Juanetta Deborah. Yeah. And you can play all the tracks and you don't have to skip any. He said he can visualize this as a procession. Okay. Sorry, that was somebody calling me. He said you can visualize it as a procession used by the ancestors entering the temple. You'll be You ready? Yeah, that's the end of it anyway.
Whoever that is not on community.
It's my nephew. My nephew Royce was video calling me while we were trying to play the track. That's the hazards of the electronics. They're all doing the same. They all working at one time. So no, my nephew. Somebody should have stopped him, but he probably didn't realize I was in Temple today. He just turned 11. So happy birthday, Royce. Um, all right, so we are going to get into our communion. Welcome everyone to our regularly scheduled communion. Today is a little special because we're going to honor our Henek Maat ceremony today. Lord of mercy. All right, let me put this on silent. I'm turn this all the way off. Um, we are going to honor our ceremony Henek Ma'at and rededicate and reaffirm our commitment to Ma'at today. But first, we will begin with our opening prayer as we always do. So I would ask everyone to join me by saying Amatu Impanatir, Sauek Tuament Impanatir, Audu Auma, Kedipa Heru. The translation, give yourself to Netta daily, keep yourself for Netta daily, and do it tomorrow as you do it today. We give homage to the Creator, who is like our Father and who is like our Mother, who is everything that we can perceive and everything that we cannot perceive, who is everything and yet is no thing, who comes to us in the form of the Neteru Ra, who is the light of the heavens, light of the inner planes, as well as the light of our lives, who shines the light for us on the path of Maati, which is the path of truth, justice, righteousness, and harmonious balance, who comes to us in the form of the light of vitality, giving us the strength and the endurance to live and act upon that which we know to be true. Homage to you, the one who shines in and through us as a beacon of light for those who are blind to the facts of their place, their position, and their responsibility in the divine scheme of things. May we be Ma'akeru, true of thought, word, and deed, to our highest reality, and in our moments of crises in the dark nights of the soul, when it appears that everyone and everything else has let us down, so it is, and so shall it be. Amen Ma'at. Everyone say Ma'akeru. All right. All right, so now we will get into our roll call for the day and find out where you guys are joining us from. Dua Netta, who's on the line and where you guys joining us from? Give thanks.
We know that Jason Holmes is watching and keeps.
No, right?
Like 8 times Jason Holmes is watching.
Netta. We got a request for a lyrics sheet for each song. That's it. From Yonkers, joining us from Yonkers, Dua Netta. East Orange is joining us on YouTube. Oakland is joining us on YouTube. New Haven, Connecticut on Facebook. Cleveland, Ohio. Guyana joining us on Facebook. Dua Netta, Newcastle, Delaware. The Planet of Brooklyn. Dua Netta, Lincoln, Nebraska. Spartanburg, South Carolina. Hyattsville, Maryland. Yes, Dua Netta. Columbus, Ohio, in the building, just spanning across the whole state. Dua Netta. West Orange, New Jersey is here. Quebec, Canada is here. Yeah, stretching up north. I love that. Newark, Delaware, Landover, Maryland. Staten Island. Dua Netta. Okay, my aunt said Kemut. Yes. I feel like the roll call is light. Like, where everybody else at? I see more people on. I don't see the comments. That's okay.
They came in strong when we first opened up.
True, that's true. That's true. They were enjoying the new ambiance. Yeah.
I guess that's it.
Okay. I guess that's it, y'all. Atlanta's in the house. Yeah.
Since you mentioned the new ambiance, I want to thank everybody for the support for buying the bundle.
Yeah.
I know we set an objective of 42 bundles, so we have 10 left. So those who are still interested, you need to get that 10 now, because there's a time when scarcity produces value. When everybody has access to everything, things lose value. So sometimes scarcity increases value. So after I'll say, but I'm putting it out there. I want these last 10 sold by the end of this day. So after that bundle is sold, it's no longer going to be offered in existence. That's how you create value of a project and stuff, things like that. But this project was the process was very interesting for me, because you know I written, produced, created, performed the whole thing. I had got my Tyler Perry on, you know, like. But we also know that with Tyler Perry, when he does that, some of his projects the quality is sometimes compromised and stuff, because you know we had to recall it and then put it back out several times and stuff, because of there's a connection between creativity and control. Or I learned the contrast between creativity and control. Sometimes when you have a project that's your baby and you be like, no, it's got to be perfect, I can't put it out that way, and then you don't want to let other people get their hands in the project and stuff like that. And I suffered through this process because, you know, I was mixing and engineering it myself. So I'm mixing it down in the headphones. I'm like, okay, it sounds good. It sounds good on the computer. And I was asking you also, I was asking him also. Then I played it in the Bluetooth, the Bluetooth speaker, and I was like, okay, it's good. And so we sent it out, and then got into the car and played it. Be like, oh, what the heck is going on with these sounds and stuff like that. I'm like, damn, I put this out like this, and I'm like, nah, we got to call that back, or we got to do over. So I took it back and kind of adjusted some levels and put it back out, and then listened to it in the car again. I'm like, damn, it's still not fixed. So I was seriously conflicted when I put this project out, because I wanted it to be a pleasant listening experience for people. So I called an engineer who masters studio tracks, and those who don't know about mastering is when that person's job is to make sure there's sound consistency from one track to the next. So if something is too loud, they'll balance it out, and if something is too low, they'll bring it up. So from one track to the next. So when you go from one track to the next track is not supposed to be high and startle you, and you gotta turn the sound down. So when you're listening to a CD, you shouldn't have to touch the dial. And if you're touching the dial, it's because that's your favorite song or whatever, but not because it's too loud or blaring. So when we released it the first time, it didn't have that consistency from one song to the next. And it was a little bit better for the second time. And now the third, I'll let that person master. So the third one is more mastered or more balanced. So that was an interesting process that I had to learn through this this by releasing this project. And I learned something about myself, and I learned something about the phenomenon that goes on in the conscious community when we try to be lone wolves. And we be like, I don't need no leader. I can lead myself. I'm the king of my life. I don't need no reader. All the answers are within. I don't need to go to the doctor because I'm into herbs and healing. And then sometimes we're left wondering about why our lives are less than stellar. Sometimes you might need to give someone permission to reflect you back to you. Because what that engineer told me, he just said he understood where I was coming from with this conflict, and he said it's you need to get as many hands as possible on deck with your project, and you need to be able to communicate your vision properly. So if you communicate your vision to several skilled people, they can help you get your vision out better than you could yourself, especially with limited skills and stuff. So yes, I'm talented. I'm a musician. I could do that, but I'm not a master as far as mastering. I'm not a mix master and things like that. So some things you just got to release to enhance the project. And we go through that in our community. We try to be this hero and shero of ourselves and act like we don't need no one else. And it's not true. We're put on this planet to need one another because we are meant to be interdependent. The independent is imbalance. Interdependence is the balance of creation. So sometimes you need to give someone permission to reflect you back to yourself. And sometimes herbs don't heal everything. Sometimes a health condition could go unmonitored or undetected so long that herbs cannot reverse it. You might need surgery. So we just have to understand that balance. Since we're talking about Maat or Henek Maat today, balance, we have to understand the balance in all things, as well as our relationships and interrelationships with one another. So once again, hopefully we could sell these last 10, and that was my objective, to sell the 42 bundles and stuff, and everything else is just the blessings of nectar coming after that, because it's good to have goals in life. That was my goal when I released this project. And once again, I thank everyone, much gratitude for everyone for supporting, and I hope you all enjoy it, and there's more coming after this. So
Before you move on, I'll just clarify because I saw some questions in the chat. What Nassid is referring to is his newly released album called A New Ambiance, which is available on our website, templeofanu.org. You can purchase it as a digital download, or you can purchase the one of the last remaining copies of the deluxe bundle. The deluxe bundle comes with a signed, autographed CD, as well as a bottle of the anointing oil that is made in the temple. Nassid is blessed and purifies it before it goes out. It can be used for anointing self or objects before spiritual work. Oh, I'm sorry. I went too fast.
Messing up my presentation.
I just wanted to clarify that because we was I saw some comments. I wanted to clarify what's in the bundle. It's the CD and the anointing oil.
It's an autographed copy of the CD,
Yes.
not just it, but any autograph. You know, I didn't just autograph it and put it in a pile. What happens is I specialize it, so I wrote out your name in a special statement, so it was personalized. Because we're trying to create value. So I'm trying to give you something that you could pass as an heirloom on in your family. So do you ever wonder, like, who has a personal letter written by Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, or Martin Luther King? That thing is valuable because they wrote something to you with their name on it, and that's going to be something, or that is worth something very valuable. So you might not think it's something valuable now, but when I transition to the West, it's going to be very valuable. You'd be like, oh, you comparing yourself to Malcolm X and Martin Luther King? Heck yeah. You're supposed to think the the best of yourself. And a lot of people won't really understand the significance of my contribution till I'm gone. They be like, oh, he did this with the Kemetic Legacy. He developed this. Oh, he did this meditation CD. Oh, he had bars too. Then this had bars. You're like, wow, I didn't know he did all that. So here we got, people just don't know the range of what it is that I've contributed or what some of you all contributed. So this is my way of trying to increase quality to the legacy. And you'll get this oil, this anointing oil. And the anointing oil is a base of sweet almond oil, and it's infused with session. It's a herb from Kemet, and session is a herb for prosperity as well as spiritual protection. It's infused with the essential oils of cedar as well as frankincense. If you understand about essential oils, they have frequencies of megahertz. So each one of those has a frequency of megahertz. And when you put that on your body, it increases the vibration of your body. We always talk about high vibrational beings and light beings. This is a contribution to raising your vibration. It also has 4 quartz crystals representing the 4 sacred times of the day. The quartz crystals are programmed to the frequencies of light. And as Henek could attest, I bless and charge each bottle individually. It's not a cookie, it's not like an assembly line type of thing. I'm doing the ceremony on each one. So this has a $25 value. The CD has a $25 value, which brings it to $50 that we sold or that we're offering up for $42. So the anointing oil is not necessarily meant to be worn as a fragrance, because you know how essential oils that they just have more of a spiritual purpose to it. So it has a woodsy smell. So the anointing oil could be used to anoint candles, spiritual objects, as you said, and a little bit could be used to anoint your forehead, your temples, in the back of your neck. Since it's in the base of sweet almond oil, it could be used as a massage oil. So the oil was meant to use as preparation for spiritual work and meditation and yoga, something you get out of your spiritual bath and you anoint your whole body with, or out the shower you anoint your whole body with. I think we was watching the comments from the last time, and someone said, are we getting Kemetic club music? And we couldn't determine if it was a joke or not, and I'll say yes and no. For this project, A New Ambiance wasn't meant to be Kemetic club music, but the next project that's coming in 2 months will be, and that one's going to be called A New Radiance. This one was meant to be more internal, yogic, meditative and stuff. The other one is more vigorous or rigorous for those people that like to dance, those old school club heads that like to dance. You'll like this new one. So it's for people that like to dance themselves into trance. You have certain people that like to breathe and meditate themselves into their theta state, and some people like to move themselves into the theta state. So that's going to be coming in a couple months, and I'll probably ahead of time release certain things at the beginning of the communion so you can get a taste of it. And so with that being said, I want to say support the project. If you like it, support it, get the word out, and make it a hit, because I'm sure at some time or another we've all contributing to making negative songs or less wholesome songs hits just because we like them. So don't do it just because you respect me and trying to support me. If you like it, make it a hit, and I appreciate you. Get it, buy it as a gift, buy it a download, or send it as a gift to someone. Let's get it out there, and don't let it go into the dustbin of eternity just as another conscious person's contribution. So if it's hot, let's make it hot. And so I'll leave it at that.
Do I not say?
As well as the bundle, you get the digital download too. So the CD is more for aesthetic value, kind of like DJs. They're doing DJing and things with CDs now, but the wax is sacred to the DJ. So yeah, we're gonna go digital and stuff, but to have a hard copy of a CD is always gonna be sacred when you got the artwork and everything, and you could read the cover because it has a little booklet inside it and things like that. And that's special to a lot of people. I know we're in the new digital age, but many people actually requested a CD, so it's the best of both worlds. You was about to say something?
No.
You want to say anything else?
No.
So I got to do all the talking.
I'm not gonna help you.
All right. So today we're gonna officially start. Before we start today, we're here for the presentation of Maat. Henek Ma'at is the presentation of Ma'at. For those who don't know what Ma'at is truth, justice, righteousness, harmony, order, balance, and reciprocity, is what we call the seven cardinal virtues. So Henek Ma'at is the presentation of Ma'at. Now, traditionally, Henek Ma'at, or the presentation of Ma'at, was generally connected to the king or the Nasut. He would offer Ma'at to the Neteru, the deity or the divine, in as proxy or as representative of the people, because the Nasut was the highest priest in the land. And the people had a habit, our ancestors had a habit of living vicariously through the Nasut. You'll find in certain texts it says, the king's ka is my ka, the king's vital force, or the king's spirit is my spirit, which means they live vicariously through the king. So they had sacred feelings for leadership, and the leadership had sacred feelings for the people. The people were considered the cattle of God, or the cattle of the divine, and not in a negative sense as cattle or chattel slavery. The cow and the bull was considered divine. When you hear the word for people in Medu Neter, is the words remech. Remech means the cattle. Remech means the cattle of the Neter, or the divine. So the bull, which is a male, and the cow is a female. The bull is a personification of the Neter men, or the Neter Mantu. So the bull represents masculinity or virility. And then you have the cow, which is representative, which is a personification or a totem of Heru, which is the personification of femininity and reproduction. So you have both. So the people are the personification of the divine, which is manifested as the cattle of the divine. So it's not anything dealing with negative certitude, like how certain people might think it is when you hear chattel slavery or cattle slavery. So the king is sacred and the people are sacred. The people also associated themselves with the land. That's why the people were called the Kemetiyu, the people of the black land. And the land was considered sacred, that they called it Tameri, the beloved land. So the people called themselves what the land was. So we had sacred feelings about leadership, sacred feelings about cattle, and sacred feelings about the land. So the with this interconnection between leadership, people, and land, there was a metaphysic expression or a metaphysic effect that you could see happening inside culture. For instance, so if the king is vital, if the king is happy and strong and virile, that means through the principle of correspondence, the nation would be virile, the nation would be strong, and the crops would grow. So there was a connection between the king as well as the land. So if the king was in severe violation, then something would happen in the land. It would be considered like a curse in the land. So if the crops wasn't abundant, they would have to look at the leadership. You're like, maybe the king is off cold because what's up with the crops? That's how they connected, and what's going on with the people could affect the king also, the Nasut also. So if the people were living in that much transgression, it could affect the health of the king also. So you see this connection in West Africa also. You'll see the Alafin, who was known as the chief or the king. You'll see this connection in Ghana, the Asante Hene. They have this connection, this sacred connection with the people, ancestors, and the land. You'll even see it in the Roman Catholic Church with the Pope. The Pope was considered the vicar of Christ. You see the word, the vicar of Christ is the root to the word vicarious. So you hear about living vicariously through someone. So the Pope was saying Jesus Christ was supposed to live vicariously through the Pope. So the Pope is a symbol or a metaphor in which Christ acts through him on behalf of the people, for the behalf of the people. So you see the same thing with the Nasut. So the Neteru are using, or the Nasut is the vicar of the Neteru. The Asante Hene of Ghana is the vicar of the ancestor. The Alafin in Nigeria is the vicar of the Orisha. You'll see that connection going on. So there was sacredness for leadership and there was sacredness for land. Now, we have a saying, what is our saying? From the ancient legacy to the living legacy. So we do what our ancestors do, but we can't do everything that our ancestors did the same exact way. So time, space, and environment, all of that factors in how something manifests. Unfortunately, what we see in our conscious community now is our people no longer have sacred feelings for leadership. We're constantly downplaying leadership, but yet those who purport themselves to be leaders, everyone projects all this extra responsibility and this expectation, and I feel like it's rather unfair. So what I'm saying is people don't have sacred feelings for leadership. I can't make people live, die, or whatever for me. They used to do that for the ancient the Suts, and they do it for the Asante Hennies in Ghana and things like that. So people no longer have sacred feelings for leadership. People are disconnected to the land. Remember, we spoke about sacredness of land. So we're disconnected from the land. We live in a false reality. We're in the house now. So we go from in the house, then we go to our cars, then we go to our cars to the workplace. So we go from one inside one building to the next, and we're no longer connected to the ground. Can anybody remember the last time their feet were actually on the earth? You know, we actually wear rubber soles on our feet to stop the conductivity of energy from the earth. So we're literally off the planet. So we're in the house several floors up. So when you're walking outside, you're literally still off the planet with rubber soles cutting ourselves off. And now even more, we have technology, and technology projects what we call false frequencies of light. So now we have something called the Techno Sphere. The Techno Sphere is a layer of static around the Earth. You know, we have the atmosphere, the ozone, the stratosphere, all of these spheres. So now we have something called the Technosphere, which is a layer of a ring of static around the planet. And this ring of static is stopping us from authentically connecting with the earth. It's stopping us from authentically connecting with the trees, stopping us from authentically connecting with cosmic radiation. So there's always this feeling of being cut off, so we can't authentically have sacred feelings. So right now, at this point in time, it's very challenging to establish sacred feelings for Ma'at, never more or less than to even recognize Ma'at. So let's deal with Ma'at. We all understand that Ma'at represents truth, justice, righteousness, harmony, order, and reciprocity. Okay, so we understand that Ma'at, when you see that T at the end of a word, Ma'at is a feminine word, and we see it's represented as a neteret or a neter. It's a beautiful black woman with an ostrich feather on the head, or sometimes she has the outstretched arms with the wings. So that's a feminine personification, and you know, sometimes it irks me when we get into this.
Like for real.
Yeah.
You might have to talk a little bit louder.
All right, no, we cool. We just had some disturbance going around in the background, not in the place outside.
It's apartment living, y'all.
Yeah. It's
They-
testing my eye for root focus. I was working through it though. So all right. So like I said, I was saying it irks me when we get into this language that puts us in this, that polarizes black men and women against one another, and that we get into almost arguments about who is God. The black woman is God, the black man is God, and it keeps switching every few years. And we say the black family is divine, the man, the woman, and the child. That is the appropriate and official image of the divinity. So we need to stop that talk. So yes, Ma'at is beautiful, Ma'at is divine, but Ma'at is not God. You know, God is still, when we understand that word, is still a masculine expression. So she is goddess, if you want to use those words. Does it always have to be polarity? That's why we say the Yit Mut Netir, the mother father creator, or the father mother creator, because whenever you see one expression, the other polarity is always right there, even though it's not in your face. So in life, you have what's expressed, and then you have the hidden side of it that's not expressed. We see that balance in Amen and Ra, or Amen Ra, the netter known as Amen Ra. So the sun is the seen expression of the divine, and Amen is the unseen expression of the divine. So you always got to have the masculine and feminine at the same time, even though it doesn't appear that you see it. Because every time you see Ma'at, you don't see Jehudi, do you? But so we're going to get into that. So when you take the T off of Ma'at, you have the word Ma'ah. and Ma'at means to see, right? But Ma'at is also a netter. Ma'at is also a netter. So Ma'at as a netter is one of five netters of the senses. So you have sight, you have ear, you have the hearing, you have speaking, you have intuition, and you have what they say magic. So those are five netter. So we're talking about sight, we're talking about listening, not just hearing. The ears, the physical ears hear, but listening is a whole other skill set. You have Sia, which is wisdom. You have Hu, which is the authoritative utterance from the mouth. And then you have sight, which is insight. And then you have Heka. Heka, in this sense, doesn't mean authoritative utterance. Heka is the alchemy of all the five senses brought together. Now, it's interesting is what's interesting is this is corresponds to the Ifa cosmology or theology where they say the Ori is the head. The Ori is the divinity that exists in your head. So your head is a Orisha in its own right. So when we look at the divinization of the five senses, it corresponds to the Ifa understanding of the divinity of the head. So we divinize sight, divinize hearing, divinize speaking, divinize the wisdom. So in Medu Neter, the word for face is hori or heri or heri, which is connected to that word ori. So now, ma'at means what? He just said he sleep. He's like, oh, ma'at means to see. Okay, so to see or perceive. So have you all seen like the depictions of the double eyes of Heru? So what do y'all know what that's called in Medu Neter?
Murti, right?
Heru Murti, that's
Murti.
one, but it's also known as Ma'at Heru.
Okay.
So remember, you take that T. So the word Ma'at is in it. So and the word to spell Ma'at is a kind of like that sickle symbol with the two eyes. So it's still talking about seeing. So Ma'at means to see. Ma'at means to perceive. So the truth is something you must see. The truth is something you must witness. The truth is something you and others must see and witness you demonstrating truth. So it's important to demonstrate the truth. So when we look at the book of Amun and Mop, on page, it's in the Hosea, page 66, verse 5, it says, do not hurl a lance if you cannot aim it correctly. Do not do evil to a person and thus cause another to do it to you. Let your generosity reach one who needs it. This is real important. It says, do not hurl a lance if you cannot aim it correctly. So if you understand this metaphor properly, you see the connection between sight and action. It says, do not hurl the lance. Hurl is an action. That's a demonstration. It says, if you cannot aim it correctly. So when you're talking about aim, you're talking about what you're looking at. So it's telling you, do not take an action until you're certain that what you see is true. So ma'at is not just to see, it's to truly see. So you hear us talking about having insight, foresight, hindsight, introspection, circumspection, all of those. And that is ma'at, to see various angles of an issue before you act on something. Because the other part of the saying says, do not do evil. Remember, there's ma'at and then there's isfet. Isfet is the negative polarity of ma'at. So ma'at is truth and goodness and things like that. And isfet is bad and evil. It says, do not do evil. So what it's saying is, do not hurl a lance if you cannot aim it correctly. If you do not aim it correctly, you've then contributed to isfet. So where they say the pathway to hell is paved on good intentions. So we know you might not meant to hurt somebody, but you hurt someone nevertheless. Therefore, that is a form of evil, even though you didn't mean it intentionally. It's because you didn't act on something that was true. You contributed to isfet. So it says, so do not do evil to a person and thus cause another to do it to you. So because you did it unintentionally, we're talking about karma. So karma is not a Hindu thing. You see it right here in this text. It caused another to do it to you. So I hope I'm not going too fast. I'll just get into my flow. You be doing that too. And I'll be like, slow it down. Get into your flow, but flow with us. So when things happen to you, you can't play victim, because certain things you do unconsciously, and you set certain things in motion against you, and it might not come back today, next week, it come back 3 weeks from now, it could happen 3 years from now, and then you get in like, yo, what's going on? I ain't even deserve this, did you? Are you aware of your thoughts? Have you acted correctly in all things? And this is why we do readings of the year. This is why you need personal readings, so you know what the heck is going on in your head, in your ori, in your hurry, what's going on with the deities of your five senses. Because if you're not in tune with that, most likely you're you're contributing to Isfet. Another one is Ptah Hotep, page 44, verse 10. It says, established are those whose standard is righteousness, who walk, which means to demonstrate according to its ways. Again, established are those whose standard is righteousness, who walk according to its ways. They shall surely prosper. Once again, established are those whose standard is righteousness, Maat, who walk, demonstrate according to its ways. That means we have to have a code. We have to have a protocol. You can't just be making the stuff up as you go along. So we have to sit and talk and constantly go over things like this to discuss and hash out what is the correct way of seeing things. The problem that I feel like many are having is that most people think that being righteous is the equivalent of being weak, because we see demonstrations of evil and Isfet in the world, and those people appear to be empowered. So it comes off that righteous people are soft. People be thinking comedic people are soft or whatever, and it looks like the people that's doing Isfet has all the power in the world. So what the result is, we see a bunch of knowledgeable, cultural, spiritually well-dressed, angry people. So what I see in our community, we're often looking for excuses to let off unmitigated rage on our brothers and sisters. So I'll be watching things that's going on in line, and I just feel like the level of intensity of how people express themselves about what we think about something is just unjustified a lot of times. So my thing is, if we don't pick the higher road, or if you're tired of picking the higher road, then this is not the path for you, because we're talking about Ma'at. This is one of the highest philosophies on the planet. So if you don't want to walk the higher road, I say leave this path alone. Go back and be regular, and it's okay. Since certain people secretly admire all the people that's doing the Isfet, and certain people's behavior is almost mimicking Isfet, yet they're claiming philosophies of Ma'at. So go do that, go be regular, and then you will be justified. But you're not justified in this path that has a higher calling or higher charge. So if that's what you want to do, then leave the teachings alone, leave the names alone, leave the culture and the images alone, because you're bringing down this frequency. So I see it common in the community that everyone's always upset with another party. So since we're talking about Ma'at and the presentation of Ma'at, so we just have to be better on what we're talking about when we're dealing with things like conflict resolution. I see a lot of people, they avoid conflict resolution. Everybody wants to be justified of being angry, and we have to stop that, because I often say that if we have no act right in our community, if we can't agree to act right and civil amongst each other, then we're not going anywhere. We don't need more metaphysics. We don't need more science. We need more act right. We need more equity. We need more emotional and mental equity amongst one another. And I see this as a serious shortcoming. So for all the high philosophies that we're spouting, we're severely, personally failing one another. How is it that you can have an issue with another person and you change your energy towards that other person, and that other person don't know you got an issue with them? I was watching something that took place online the other day with two brothers that I personally know, and one brother decided to go on one of the biggest conscious platforms that exists out here on social media and air out his brother online, and I was just like, whoa, that's wrong. Like, what happened to picking up the phone and being a man and calling a brother? Like, yeah, and the issue was from several years ago. So why'd you go to a social platform to deal with a personal issue? I take issue with it because in that person's issue, he threw the rest of us as a community under the bus because he's mad at that brother. So now we get thrown under the bus with the brother and things that he's probably not really upset with us about. So now, once again, we thought we put this war behind us from several years ago when we were attacked by the scholars in our community. A lot of people are always questioning the authenticity of us as spiritual practitioners. So I'm just saying that conversation is now back on the table just because one brother can't express itself to another man and get some resolution. So what does that say for you if you're out besmirching a person's reputation and they don't even know that you was upset with them and you're trying to character assassinate a person? What does that say about your character? So we have to be better about how we resolve conflict. So what am I saying? I'm saying this. So if we're so organically myotic, and because we have this talk in the community, no one wants to have serious conversations about Ma'at. Everyone's acting like they got it because you understand the seven cardinal virtues: truth, justice, righteousness. So Ma'at is not an abstraction. Ma'at is something that needs to be witnessed in concrete form and demonstrated, not just something that's philosophized. So we understand the general principles of it, but we're severely failing personally. So what I'm saying is, if we're so organically righteous and everybody like I'm God and I'm goddess, if that is true, why is everybody not messing with each other? I ain't messing with them no more. I ain't messing with her no more. I ain't, like if that was true, if we're that naturally organically myotic, then there wouldn't be so much of that going on in the community. So if your brother or sister who's running out of juice, so if your brother or sister committed or they've somehow violated some trust or whatever and they didn't know, why are you holding it against them as though they did it on purpose? I don't see anyone in our community that's actually just straight up committing isfet. If the isfet is going on, it's usually unconscious. And you're supposed to know the difference between someone unconsciously doing something and someone consciously trying to hurt you. So you be like, damn, she did such and such and she acting like such and such, like, yo, maybe she don't know she rubbed you the wrong way. Maybe you need to go, sister, you did such and such. Did you mean it this way? Because that's how I took it. And let that person say, oh, no, I ain't mean it that way, such and such. And some might be like, hell yeah, I meant it that way. What's up? At least if that's the case, at least if you're going to have a beef with somebody, it should be known. You'd be like, all right, I ain't messing with her. She ain't messing with me. It is what it is. At least you know, but there should be no secret beefs. So where am I going? I want to bring it to closing. Henek Ma'at is the presentation of Ma'at, but there's a polarity. There's the presentation of Ma'at, so we could do the 42 covenants. We could recite it and we feel good because we like to believe we have sacred thoughts about the 42 principles of Ma'at. And fine, we could get through that, but the other side of the truth is we have Henek Ma'at, the presentation of Ma'at, and then there's Suruj Ma'at, which is the restoration of Ma'at. Because we look at the world is not Ma'at, the world is not going to get better because we recite these 42 principles on social media. The world is going to get better when we Suruj Ma'at, restore Ma'at. So what is Suruj Ma'at, restore Ma'at? So yes, we recite those 42, but then you commit yourself to the rest of the season and go find a person. There's somebody out there that you need to apologize to based off of your behavior or your conduct. There's somebody out there that you need to forgive or offer or allow the opportunity for forgiveness to happen between you two. And sometimes you can resolve it and sometimes you can't resolve it. But the point is, we got to try to at least move the needle towards righteousness, because if we don't, Isfet rules. And right now, what we're seeing is people who are Isfetic, they're totally committed to Isfet. And the world is going the direction that it's going because the righteous is not committed to righteousness as the Isfetic people are committed to Isfet. And that's something we need to contemplate as we go forward. So we do Henek Ma'at right after the summer, the equinox, because the equinox, equal, which means balance. So we need to we do it twice a year because it can never be enough effort given towards reestablishing Ma'at. So in this season, I'll say in the first 10 days of the season, you need to go and commit to resolution and resolving what might not be right or what you might think might not be right between you and another individual. Because at this point in our journey as a people, at this crossroads, we can't afford to go forward with this pettiness no more. If we're serious about our philosophy has always been teaching us about this. I'm not making this up. I don't know where these Cats be thinking we not authentic from where he be quoting from the text. We're trying to get a whole community to be better, but yet our authenticity is being questioned. Like, how is that fake? How is that phony? What's fake and what's phony is when you got people that's not a part of this community, not doing the rites, not doing the rituals, not praying, not meditating, not trying to balance themselves or be better, but they get to walk around and take the imagery, take the names and stuff as though they're doing it and not actually doing it. So the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in your personal example. So it really doesn't matter what they think of us. We're living the example. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be better. Mm. I'll repeat, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be better. So don't stress yourself in thinking you got to be perfect, because none of us know what perfect look like. But we also be striving to be the best expressions of ourselves. And I'm kind of anxious to see what that looks like. So we got to cut with the petty stuff, the petty conversation and the petty issues, and just be bigger and better on how we decide to go about resolving our issues. All right.
Two, do I not to? Okay, let's get into this ceremony. All right, so the way this is going to work, everyone who is online and who is willing to commit to walking forward from this point forward, choosing to live the virtues of Ma'at, as Nasit said, not thinking about Ma'at abstractly, but understanding the ways in which our choices and our actions on a daily basis either contribute to the establishment and the maintenance of Ma'at, or they contribute to the furtherance of Isfet in this world and in our lives. So we are making a decision at this point in time to commit ourselves one way or the other. So I'm going to speak a few words to open the way, and then I'm going to begin to recite the 42 Tepra and Ma'at, the 42 declarations of innocence, the 42 oracles of Ma'at. And I'm going to ask you all to recite these 42 behind me at home. I'm going to say one. I'll pause so you can recite it, and we'll go through all 42. We are then going to go through the 42 new ethical covenants of Ma'at. These were written a few years ago by Baba Haru Ankara Samaj Se Patah, who we understand and consider to be the father of the practice of the Kemetic tradition here in the West, and the founder of the Shrine of Patah. And these ethical covenants were written purposely and intentionally to speak to some direct concerns that we as African people have in our communities, families, and homes in the 21st century. So same thing, I'm going to recite them, and then I'm going to ask you all to repeat them at home, and then I will say some closing words. And from this point forward, we will all be recommitted or newly committed to living and abiding by, speaking and doing Ma'at day in and day out. Speak Ma'at, do Ma'at, for she is mighty, she is great, and she endures. Her value rests upon those who use her. Ma'at leads one to sacredness. All right, from this point forward, everyone, please repeat after me. I will not do iniquity. I will not rob with violence. I will not do violence to anyone or anything. I will not commit theft. I will not murder any man or woman. I will not defraud offerings. I will not act deceitfully. I will not rob the things that belong to Neter. I will not tell lies. I will not snatch away food. I will not utter evil words. I will not attack anyone. I will not slaughter the cattle set apart for the Netru. I will not eat my heart. I will not lay to waste the plowed lands. I will not be an eavesdropper or pry into matters to make mischief. I will not speak against anyone. I will not allow myself to become angry without cause. I will not commit adultery. I will not commit a sin against my own purity. I will not cause terror. I will not do that which is abominable. I will not utter fiery words, nor be a person of anger. I will not stop my ears against words of right and wrong. I will not stir up strife. I will not cause any to weep. I will not lust, commit fornication, nor lay with others of my same sex. I will not avenge myself. I will not work grief or abuse anyone. I will not act insolently or with violence. I will not judge hastily. I will not transgress nor anger Netter. I will not multiply my speech over much. I will not do harm or evil. I will not work treason or curses on the king. I will not befoul the water. I will not speak scornfully. I will not curse Netter. I will not behave with arrogance. I will not be overwhelmingly proud or seek for distinctions. I will not magnify my condition beyond what is fitting, nor will I increase my wealth, except with such things as are justly my own possessions. I have not slighted the Netter of my native town. I will not flirt with ancestral treason by failing to identify myself as African. I will not discourage, devalue, or do harm to a fellow African sister or brother. I will not discriminate against African sisters and brothers based on skin complexion. I will not participate in African genocide or tolerate agents who defame indigenous life. I will not indulge in genocidal gun terror in my community. I will not protect those who steal from or do violence to others in my community. I will not protect the enemies of Maat. I will not run and hide from injustice done to an African by those who terrorize our youth. I will not do I fail to avoid contact or confrontation with armed or unarmed public servants. I will not tolerate institutional racism, poverty, stress, and hopelessness. I will not join any group which requires hazing or harmful initiations. I will not indulge in ageism. I will not violate, ignore, or marginalize our elders who are the wisdom keepers of our ancestral traditions. I will not hold on to beliefs which contradict my hereditary ancestral knowledge. I will not address the divine God in prayer or praise by paternal titles without honoring goddess and the maternal titles and aspects. I will not join any religion whose scriptures support chattel slavery, mutilation, torture, and murder. I will not indulge in self hate and self deprecation. I will not verbally assault women, men, or children. I will not touch the body temple of a woman without her conscious consent or permission. I will not sexually molest or tolerate the sexual molestation of the body and mind of any child. I will not rape the body, mind, or spirit of any woman, man, or child. I will not indulge in or tolerate incest. I will not engage in any sexual practice which offends the laws of hygiene. Men, you should say that you will not waste the procreative power of your life essence through sexual excess. And women, we should say that we will not use abortion as a means of birth control. I will not partake of foods or substances whose side effects cause injury to the health of my body. I will not fail to hydrate my body, practice deep breathing, meditate, and exercise regularly. I will not chemically alter my skin complexion. I will not volunteer my body as a billboard to be branded by oppressors. I will not fail to fast at the seasonal changes of the year and periodically according to my personal needs. I will not damage my liver by harboring fear, hatred, jealousy, anger, envy, greed, or self-pity. I will not fail to support and give guidance to the children of my lineage. I will not fail to support, instruct, encourage, and protect the children of my community. I will not fail to teach the children of my community to uphold the sacred laws of Maat. I will not fail to support with my economic power the farmers, gardeners, artists, health practitioners, and other entrepreneurs of the African community. I will not feed with my economic power the treasury of racist businesses. I will not take advantage of the spiritual, mental, or sexual vulnerability of those that I guide and counsel. I will not mistake letters or degrees from any college or university as indicative of a holistic education. I will not display images of spiritual teachers or prophets that contradict their true cultural, ethnic, or geographical origin. I will not disrespect or bootleg intellectual properties and fail to give credit where due. I will not dress or exhibit behavior which invites or provokes disrespect, shock, or pity. I will not fail to honor my divine mate, my financial responsibilities to the households, and to leave an inheritance to my lineage. I will not pollute the environment or denature the seeds or soil or disregard the natural laws of the universe. Maat has come that she may be with you. Maat is in every place of yours that you may rest upon her. Everyone say Amen Maat. And we close our ceremony by saying Phuket Neja Maat. How sweet a thing the truth is. Tuaneter. We are very, very grateful to all of you for participating in today's ceremony. I hope that those words resonated with you in and through you, not just Nasit's words, but also your own words as you speak aloud the laws of Ma'at, the laws that we live by, and understand the many ways that we strive to be embodiments of these principles on a daily basis, living these principles in real time, honoring ourselves, honoring our ancestors, honoring our descendants, and honoring the Netru and the divine energies that guide us and that exist in and through us. We appreciate you all's energy and your support. We thank those of you who are able to and willing to send donations. I know many of you will do so by Cash App, $ Temple of Anu. You can also do so on PayPal, templeofanu@gmail.com. Your donations to our work continue to allow us to expand the things that we do and continue to grow as a community. And we're ever so grateful for your support, your reciprocity, and your energy in all of its many forms. We will be back here as regularly scheduled in 2 weeks for another communion service, 1 p.m. Eastern.
Let us not forget those 10 bundles.
Yeah. Please visit our website, templeofanu.org, to pick up your copy of A New Ambiance, the deluxe bundle. And we will be,
as well as those who did purchase the bundles, your orders is going out tomorrow. So
yes, do offer
ready to ship.
Yeah. And again, we'll be back here in 2 weeks for our regularly scheduled communion. We'll be, as always, dual casting on YouTube and Facebook Live at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday, April 5th. I think it's Sunday, April 5th. So 2 weeks from today. Until then, Shamima Tep, everyone. Phuket Neja Ma'at.